Well, picking up again on this idea, let's say, for argument's sake, that you have a mortgage on a house. The mortgage is money invented by the bank, on which they charge you interest, and you pay them because they had allegedly provided money for somebody previously. And this is such a scam, such a major ripoff when the land was stolen in the first place. So everybody who's paying mortgages is all on stolen land, and none of it really belongs to you in the first place. So once we surrender the idea that you can own land, listen, you can't take it with you. The land is our mother. You can't really buy and sell it for profit. The land is our mother. Yes, we need a place to live. Yes, we need a place to grow gardens. Yes, we need, shelter. Of course, all these things are vital and necessary. But the idea of ownership of land is so alien to the native people, the Aboriginal people on this continent, and even people where I come from. The Commons of Britain didn't believe in the ownership of land, and it wasn't until the end of the 16th century that even as late as the end of the 18th century that land ownership, the commons were entirely enclosed, so people had no land in common. Well, what does having land in common mean? Well, first of all, it means that we're all commoners. We don't claim to be landlords. We don't claim to be landowners. We don't exercise that sense of unique feudal authority. We say no. We've tolerated the few doing it all, and we're the common people, and we hold values in common. And those values that we hold in common are that we all have a place to live. We need land, and land is our mother. Father Son is clearly the generator of our life and love and light, and it's necessary to bring ourselves into the relationship in a very serious way. Think about it this way. For instance, I'm just suggesting, because I do, seems to work for me. Each one of us really is the center of our own universe. Our relationship with the divine is unique. I see us as photons of conscious awareness, almost like the nerve cells, in the skin of the body of the Creator, going, ouch, that hurt, or ooh. In other words, we're feeling and aesthetic responsive molecules, and we tend to move away if we're what can I say, thoughtfully well endowed with common sense, away from evil and wrongdoing and lies and theft and dirty tricks and violence and blue meanness, because none of those give us a great deal of pleasure. Now, if we begin to find that they do, then we really do have serious problems. And if we ask ourselves, why do I find evil so attractive? It's usually because we've been hurt, and there are a lot of good psychologists that have dealt with this issue. But I think the thing with being a philosopher and a generalist is you've got to search such a variety of so-called specializations to be able to bring it all together. Now, I talked quite a bit about land title and creating equity base for an internal economy. An internal economy would be a government which was responsible for the housekeeping of the people, and that government would be a caretaker government growing out of the principles which I've discussed with the none of the above option. Priorities, again, I've talked about that before. How do we arrive at priorities? Again, common sense can apply. And distribution of wealth, well, first you have to generate the wealth. And wealth is generated today by money. It's just as simple as that. You go to the bank and you ask them for some money to have a mortgage, and they say, "Oh, yes, sure, of course. Here you go. It's $150,000 or whatever they think the property might be worth." And then you dutifully pay them off and getting your money from somewhere else to pay them. So in other words, they give you something that you don't really need if you were able to, project some sort of future. I mean, it's such a bizarre system. Nobody really gives it serious thought. Anyway, and of course, it's completely corrupted and it does nothing but serious harm, to the commons. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, we had a caretaker government. They immediately, with the men and women's circles, decided that we had to deal with the money issue. So we issue our own currency. Wow, what a good idea. Hey, let's do that right away. British Columbia dollars. We will fix them against what? I'd say the wealth of the land, the entire value of the land of British Columbia, which is really rather an arbitrary figure since you're never going to sell all of it, but it does belong to all the people. And if it belongs to all the people, then clearly it's going to be the foundation for generating wealth. Now, in my view, the only real wealth that is worth generating at this time, because remember, we're moving into a peaceful state, so we're not going to be grinding any more mines into the hill. We're not going to be damming any more streams. We're not going to be, developing in that way because we've reached a plateau of the necessity for, the material wealth. We have plenty of everything. Everything is, there are trucks laying around rotting in the woods, and there are, there are pianos slowly going moldy, and, there are boats, just going down and down back into composting. Certainly mine is. And why is that? Well, mostly because we're so, busy. Busyness, oh my word. I mean, oh dear. When is the leisure state going to become more and more evident? When are people going to have time for their children? When are people going to have time for their love affairs? When are people going to have time for each other? When are we going to begin to integrate ourselves as a loving, harmonious body of people? Some people call it, what do they call it now? The hive. Well, yeah, I don't think human beings are a hive. I don't think we're a herd. I think we have a lot in common, which is loving, peaceful, harmonious. It really likes to make music. It likes to paint pictures. It likes to knit sweaters. It likes to weave rugs. It likes to fly airplanes. And likes to enjoy life. And busyness gets in the way of all of that. Time for the leisure state. God bless. This is another short one, I hope. Take care. I don't know. What is that, 7 minutes? Something like that. God bless. Keep on talking. Yeah, talk to each other. Don't listen to me too much.